So, good evening and welcome to this evening's meeting of the Planning and Highways Committee Action Council this evening, being Tuesday the 14th of January. And this meeting is being recorded for publication on the Thatcham Town Council YouTube channel. So, good evening and good evening, members of the public. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence.
None received, Chairman.
Declarations of interest. Does anybody have anything to declare on relation to So we move on to agenda item 3. So read it in terms accurate minutes of the meeting on the 16th of December, which you have in the pack. So before asking for your opinion, does anyone have any comments on those minutes? So I see no one asking to speak, so I will, because from the chair we really is to read and take and put things accurate in the minutes. So I have a second. Thank you, Councillor Lunn, and those in favour. That's approved. So, all the places managers to provide feedback on the matters from the previous meeting.
Nothing further to add, Chairman.
Obviously, some of those are on the agenda for this meeting. So we return to agenda planning applications, of which we have one which we intend to consider. So I'll hand over to James to introduce it.
Yes, this is for 29 Roman Way, Thatcham. It's a part retrospective planning application for a change of use from C3 to an 8-bed HMO, Class C January. I'll just get it up on the screen. But we originally discussed this back in 2024, I believe. Yes, yeah. If you don't mind, please, Chairman.
We considered the application to extend the property to have 6 bedrooms from the first floor. As it was shown then, it was shown that in that application that the rooms on the ground floor were shown as bedrooms. Then there was a group application for local development last year to add a loft, room in the loft. And that showed the rooms on the ground floor as being living rooms and not bedrooms. For your information, the max to the there is a Class C4, so Class C3 is dwelling house. Class C4 is a small application or up to 6 bedrooms. So that it was declared as an HMO of 6 bedrooms in 2024. In 2025 application, it was declared as a house with 3 bedrooms, 3 living rooms, and the proposal to add an extra bedroom, an extra room in the loft. The council at that point decided that it did comply with the certificate of lawful development, but they proposed a very specific condition in that I'll read it. For the avoidance of doubt, that always implies that they're particularly insistent on it. The certificate of lawfulness will only apply to 29 Roman Way if the site is being used as either a dwelling house or a small HMO. Should there be any deviation from this, the certificate of lawfulness will no longer apply. So, the present application is for a change of use with some internal reconfiguration to the next bedroom. But there is no, and it says that there's no change to the external appearance. However, my reading of that statement in the previous certificate of lawfulness means that that no longer applies, and therefore a planning application would be required for the loft conversion in order for the change of use to be permitted. And that has not been requested. So if we go on to that, that's the history. If we go on to the details of where we are, where it is.
So we've got a site plan there. There isn't much change as in documents on this one to the previous but I will.
The ground floor change.
So this is
That's the first floor which is unchanged.
ground floor plan. Sorry, here we go.
So that is proposing to reconfigure the ground floor to add a fourth room in the ground floor.
Yeah.
So four in the ground floor, three in the first floor, and the loft. And you can see from the way they will have a loft which suggests that they are bedroom property.
And this is the loft plan.
And it says part retrospective, but it is unclear, I think, from the application, which part of it is the needs to be whether it is the change of uses. But I don't think that matters from the perspective of whether the application needs to be made for the loft conversion. So, that is the site.
That's the site. I'll just check if there's anything else. It's just existing.
So on the last occasion, we objected on the grounds of insufficient parking point and access from the corner.
Yeah, insufficient parking and development was out of keeping with the neighbourhood.
Yeah. So, any comments before I submit the suggestion? What I suggest is I summarise that because it was a bit of a complicated situation. I summarise that by email, which I posted. It's given explained here. We do not indeed is going to the eastern area. We don't know that. That takes 3 years. We'll get there immediately. Maybe the council maybe more.
It's still in its recommendation committee, which it hasn't stated a date.
They have been called, by the way. Yes. And currently it's getting a permanent standard for the people and recent okay. Probably the active steering not taking. But I do get your point and it was well made. Thank you. So what I suggest is that we therefore object on the grounds that it appears that the change of use would require an application for the loft conversion because the certificate of lawfulness no longer applies, and we maintain our given that the number of bedrooms increased, that we maintain our objection on the grounds of parking and the thing out of keeping with it. By the way, the highways have also raised concerns about parking. They say that there is has no standards for parking spaces for this, but in their experience, based on previous appeals, the criteria that seems to be applied is normally space for the residents.
There's a little bit of text from the highways department.
Thank you.
So, just to clarify, it currently is 6 bedrooms, or it currently is 7?
Okay, it is currently 7 rooms, which the last application was described as 4 bedrooms plus 3 living rooms. But those 3 living rooms had previously been described as bedrooms. And I would say from experience of being fairly local to that, it appears that it has been continuously in use as an HMO, apart from, of course, that some rooms may have been out of use because of the extension.
On the plans, the rooms that I saw have toilets in them.
That plan shows toilets that there, but so this is what they're proposing to be internal changes that they're proposing at the present time. What the current situation is unclear because it says part retrospective, so we don't know which aspects of the application have already been carried out. So I will therefore propose from the chair that we object on those grounds. So do I have a seconder for that? Thank you. I think Secretary Lambert was slightly first. It's like a 100-metre street to win. And those in favour of that. Thank you. And those in the council of the cabinet previously described. Could you note that?
Yeah, noted.
Thank you. So the other two applications, not considering, have there been any objections, since their publication of the agenda?
No objections, no.
So we won't consider those. We move on to agenda item 5, the decision notices.
Again, we've got quite a handful of decisions come in. Mostly approvals, a couple of refusals for 17-7 Close, a loft conversion. TTC never considered. This is refusal application for planning permission.
So basically, we don't consider, or we don't, the council doesn't invite comments because from the parish council's policy because it is a legal determination, not a judgment.
And
That means we'll probably see them applications
in the near future. We've had proposed roof mounted solar panels at Whitelands Park. That's planning permission is not required. The planning application is not required, sorry. And we've had lawful consent lawfully obtained for units 7 and 8 on the courtyard in the Broadway. No decision notice issued by West Berkshire Council, as this is now beyond the 56-day period. But the rest are pretty straightforward. Any comments?
Nothing in contradiction to
What we recommended at committee.
Thank you. West Berkshire Local Plan Review, which is still called 2022 to 2039, despite the fact that it's now 2023 to 2041. To provide an update on the supplementary planning document in first evening, well, we had, I think we reported at the last meeting.
Yeah, it's just we were here. They need to send potentially a formal letter.
Yeah, so we're reaching the point where it's now more than 6 months since the West Berkshire Council adopted the local plan. Within that, there was a statement of the council's intent to complete the SPD, the master plan of the SPD within a year. We had an initial meeting and we've had an update, which basically the update letter said there hadn't been much happened. I'm wondering if this meeting, or perhaps we decide to have a letter before us at the next meeting, if it hasn't happened, so that we can agree with the text of the letter rather than just the principle of the letter. But I think the point is that I have to say I suspect that the delay is not the fault of the council. But the point is that we have to be able to tell the residents what's going on. So that would enable us to show that we are very diligent on their behalf. So shall we make that recommendation that we'll bring that before the next meeting, developments make it relevant to formally express our concern to the council?
Yeah, because I just clarify what we're actually asking. We're asking them formally for an update.
Yeah.
So
Yes, I think formally for an update, yeah. And may also help them in their discussions with the other parties. So we'll note that. I think that's something for the letter. We do need to actually have a text before us to agree on this. Agree that offline.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we'll note that as an action for the next meeting. Thank you. So statutory consultation on instructions for our speed limit on certain roads in Heritage Colgate and Butterbury. So despite the title of the consultation, this does affect roads within Thatcham. And also there's some comments about that.
Yeah, they're within the
They're also in the pack. So the first one is this goes back to back into the previous council. West Berkshire Council proposed a 20-mile/hour experimental traffic a prohibition of traffic on voluntary transport. It wasn't converted into a permanent order, in part because the bollards which prevented the traffic were stolen on more than one occasion. But at that time, the council expressed the view that they would look at other measures that could be adopted. So, the council is now consulting on a traffic regulation order, as I say, mainly for Colditch, Bucklebury and Hermitage. I would suggest that we only consider matters that are directly connected to Thatcham. And I note that both ends of Lawrence's Lane are proposed to be subject to 20-mile-an-hour limits, but not the Lawrence's Lane itself. So what I'm suggesting is that we ask the West Berkshire Council to add Lawrence's Lane to a 20-mile-per-hour limit. Now, one reason for that is I think anyone driving along it would be reckless to drive much more than 20 miles per hour. But one consequence of the proposal for other roads is that the travel time on those other roads will increase. And sat-navs may assume that because the national speed limit, that it's faster. And therefore, the sat-navs might direct people to go along the Lawrence's Lane rather than the alternative routes. But if you have a 20 mile per hour limit in the core division, then it will make the journey time, the calculated journey time faster. So that is the substantive suggestion that I make. There's one other comment that we made previously, but it's more relevant here, is that they're proposing to apply a 30-mile or to revoke all these rules because of the change of the speed limit. But that means that the new rules have to contain all of the bits which are unchanged, one of which is actual Green Road. And actual Green Road comes up by Green Road, which is 30 mile because it has street lights. Actual Green Road does not. They will need to have a sign up there is no sign. So we're just suggesting that as part of this procedure, my suggestion is that we ask them to provide that sign so that the TR is in fact legally enforceable. And the third point is that it's a detail, but the documentation says that the orders that have been passed. There are some very minor differences in the distances that they're quoting, which they don't explain. So just commenting on this deliberation and explain why. So I've got the wording that I suggested, the wording that I circulated in advance, basically captures that in a week. So I'm proposing that we make those 3 points in response to that consultation. We will just substantive because we've got to explain. And in case you're not aware, the boundary between Thatcham and Colditch goes along the central. So given that you can't actually, 2 vehicles can't pass, your left wheel is on Colditch and your right wheel is on Thatcham. So, any comments on that before we proceed? I propose that from the floor you have the text in front of you, which I've summarised to you. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Pemberton. All those in favour of making that representation? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. So, moving on to the agenda.
None received, Chairman. None received.
Thank you. So, on the agenda is traffic management highways. So the first is consultation on the proposal to designate certain streets as traffic sensitive and other street works registers, notices, directions and designations into regulations 2007. And what this basically does is it notifies utilities or roads that need to take particular measures before they do the works. And the legal criteria have changed, and therefore the council has been consulting on which roads meet the new legal criteria in summary. And therefore I think it's basically a matter of legal interpretation, which the utilities might have a view. So I suggest that this council will post that consultation is underway if somebody wishes to discuss it. So they're raising their hands, the competition is so I propose that we note that. Is that acceptable to the meeting? Thank you.
Yeah.
And finally, to receive any highways and road safety matters, publication of the agenda.
Just one update, Chairman. Received from West Berkshire Council. Dates have changed for a project on the A4 Floral Way, Falmouth Way active travel improvements. Initially was due to start on the 16th of December, and that is now starting on the 2nd of February 2026. Estimated project finish date is the 22nd of March. And this is for pedestrian improvements, crossing improvements. It was initially raised at a couple of committee meetings ago.
Thank you. So I'd like to raise one matter, which is a national matter, but it's relevant to that, which has occurred since the publication of the agenda, which is that the government has published a response to a consultation that the previous government, or was it the one before that, undertook in 2020 on parking payments.
Yes.
And they're proposing to give local authorities the power to enforce, take enforcement action against pavement parking that causes an obstruction. So I think it's useful to note that formally at this meeting, because that will enable you to refer to it, and particularly officers to refer to it in response to complaints from residents. And as the chairman, I would hope firstly that this is moving to be enforced speedily, and that the council takes up the option to apply the enforcement, which is only when the pavement parking causes an obstruction. It's not intended to be a general prohibition, unlike the case in London. Councillor McCann.
Yeah, and I think, putting my other hat on, I think West Berkshire is interested in how the policy would actually be implemented, and the funding, how the mechanisms in which we can make it work. But I'm not sure there will be a big rush for implementation across the board, bearing in mind how large the district is.
Yeah.
It'd be quite difficult to send people out.
Resources. Yeah.
I'm assuming this will be particularly repeat and particularly serious cases. But the point is that I hope that the council has taken the opportunity to have a power. So I think that I'm just reporting that, and I think that is something else to note. There's nothing we can do about it, and indeed, until the legislation comes into force, there's nothing that West Berkshire Council can do about it. So thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the agenda. So with that, I will close this evening's meeting. Thank you very much.